The third year of my marriage to Dominic Chase, I discovered a physical defect. I'd lost my ability to conceive and could never get pregnant. I was devastated. But Dominic suggested adopting a child from an orphanage. Together, we found a sweet little girl. On the day we were supposed to officially adopt her, I noticed a birthmark on the girl's hand while signing the paperwork. I immediately said I didn't want her, but Dominic insisted on adopting her. So I asked him for a divorce. Everyone stared at me in shock. Dominic asked, just because she has a birthmark on her hand, you want to divorce me over that? I replied, seriously? Yes. Dominic thought I was being unreasonable. But the birthmark is only the size of a pea. We can have it surgically removed. Is this really worth making such a big deal over? I laughed coldly. Dominic's face filled with disbelief. Miranda called. Well, what's gotten into you? You want to divorce me over a child? What did she do to upset you? There's no need to take it this far. I stared at him, my voice devoid of emotion. Her or me? Choose. Dominic looked at me like I was a stranger, his eyes full of shock. She's just a child. Such a small child. Abandoned by everyone. Don't you have a heart? Besides, she didn't choose to have that birthmark. Why does it matter so much to you? I cut him off. Fine. Divorce. Dominic's face turned pale. I said nothing more. The atmosphere turned glacial. The orphanage staff exchanged uncomfortable glances. Until the director broke the awkward silence. Mrs. Chase, Rosie has always been the sweetest child at our facility. She never cries or makes a fuss. And she often helps the other children. Many people have wanted to adopt her before, but Rosie refused to leave. Today, when she finally met your family, she really took to you. My father-in-law, Bob Chase, tried to smooth things over. Miranda, dear, I think this child is lovely. Medical technology is so advanced now. If you don't like the birthmark, we can easily have a doctor remove it. I remained silent, insisting on the divorce. Dominic approached me, carefully taking my hand. Can we talk about this at home? His voice was filled with hurt and pleading. I yanked my hand away, showing him no mercy. No need. When we get home, I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce papers. Make sure you come sign them. Seeing my resolve, my mother-in-law, Nancy Smith's face filled with alarm. What are you saying? You've been married into our family for 3 years, with nothing to show for it. Now that we know the problem is with you, you're throwing a fit about adopting a child. She pointed her finger at my nose. I never imagined you were this petty. Are you trying to end the Chase family line? Nancy brought up past grievances, one by one. Whenever you wanted late-night snacks, no matter how late it was, my son would get up and make them for you. He never complained once. You only like cake from that one shop downtown. So my son would stand in line for an hour every day to buy it for you. Do you have a conscience? Our family has treated you well. All I want is a grandchild. What good are you if you can't have children? Nancy clutched her chest and cursed at me, calling me an ungrateful wretch with every sentence. I grabbed my bag to leave. The little girl approached me, looking pitiful. Mommy? I pushed her away in disgust. Chloe Chase caught the girl. Miranda. She's just a child. If you don't like the birthmark on her hand, fine. But did you have to push her down? Why are you taking your anger out on a child? All she wants is a family. What's wrong with calling you mommy?
He glanced at her coldly.
You can let her call you mommy. Chloe immediately panicked, flustered and stammering. Miranda, don't talk nonsense. This is the child you and Dominic were going to adopt. You know it's supposed to be Dominic's and mine. Why are you butting in? Chloe had no response to that. Bit her lip tightly. Enough. Dominic's body trembled. Honey, can we please talk about this in private? Just sign the papers. I've already called everyone here. Please just give me this one courtesy. You can yell at me all you want when we get home. I refused outright. No need. Just sign the divorce papers when you get home. I turned to leave. Behind me there was a thud. Dominic had dropped to his knees in front of everyone. Please sign it. Okay. Dominic wrapped his arms around my legs, preventing me from leaving. Nancy looked like she was about to faint from anger, repeatedly telling him to get up. In all our arguments before, no matter how fierce, he'd never melt down. They say a man's knees hold gold. Yet here was Dominic, kneeling for a child who had no blood relation to me. Dominic, do you really care about her? That. I turned my head to look at the girl hiding in Chloe's arms. Very pretty, very well behaved. Very much like her. I laughed at myself and bent down to pry his hands off, one finger at a time. Stop making a scene. Dominic's eyes reddened with frustration, tears falling. I looked up and surveyed my surroundings. The obedient child, the angry mother-in-law, the silent crowd, my kneeling husband. Somehow I'd become the villain in this story. All because of a pea-sized birthmark. making demands and threatening divorce over 3 years of marriage. I'll say it again.
Divorce.
With that, I left without hesitation. I went home alone and contacted a lawyer to draft the divorce papers. I waited until late at night. Before the whole family finally came home, they were laughing and chatting, everyone carrying bags full of gifts. As he was surrounded in the middle, the center of attention as they entered. As soon as Dominic came in, he saw me sitting in the living room. His smile immediately vanished. Honey, the director said she could stay at our house for a few days. I know you don't like her. Don't worry, I'll send her back in a few days. Dominic looked at me carefully. I avoided his gaze. No need. Let her stay. Really? Honey, have you changed your mind? I slammed the divorce papers heavily on the table. Find them. Dominic shook his head, begging desperately. Honey, I'm sorry. If you don't want to adopt her, we won't. Please don't divorce me, okay? I can't live without you. Why, honey? Why do you insist on divorcing me? Nancy pulled Dominic away. Are you seeing someone else? Are you using this to end our family line? Since you married into our family, have I ever mistreated you? When you couldn't get pregnant before, I never said a word, afraid of upsetting you. I'm old now. I just want a grandchild around me. Someone to call me grandma. Is that wrong? Nancy grew more agitated, crying as she accused me. Chloe walked up to me, holding Rosie, then suddenly dropped to her knees. Miranda, I know marrying into our family was beneath you. You were born with a silver spoon, a real princess. And we're just an ordinary family. You've never experienced life on the streets, but I have. I know what it's like to have no home. It's so painful I even thought about dying. I can't bear to see her go through what I did. Miranda, I know you look down on unwanted children like us. I know you've told Dominic many times that you don't like me. If you take her in, I'll leave this house immediately. Chloe's words were so pitiful, they tugged at everyone's heartstrings. I slapped her hard across the face and said sternly, don't you have any idea why I won't take this child? Dominic suddenly stood up and backhanded me with a heavy slap, fell straight off the sofa, and hit my forehead on the corner of the table. Everything spun warm liquid ran down from my eye.
I'm sorry, honey.
I didn't
mean to.
Dominic stared at his hand in disbelief, frantically moving to cover my wound. I shoved his hand away, grabbed my bag, and headed for the door. Bob called after me with a threat. You dare leave? If you walk out that door, don't ever come back to this house. If we divorce, you won't get a penny. I dragged my exhausted body back to my parents' house. My mom hugged me, with concern. Sweetheart, what happened to your face? Where's Dominic? Didn't he come back with you? I buried myself in my mother's embrace, tears soaking my face. Did you and Dominic have a fight? What happened? My mother's gentle comfort opened the floodgates of all my grievances. That child. After I told my parents everything, they were stunned. I never imagined Dominic was that kind of person. How could he have the nerve to do such things? Divorce him. I want a penny of their money. We don't need it. My father grew angrier as he spoke, even wanting to rush to the Chase house and confront them. But I stopped him. The next day at the office, I went to get the divorce papers. When I reached the top floor and pushed open Dominic's office door, I saw him and Chloe together, amusing Rosie. When they saw me, Dominic immediately stood up, looked at the wound on my face with concern.
Honey, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to yesterday. You know Chloe is the most cherished person in our family. I can't stand to see her suffer even a little. Dominic grabbed my hand and pressed it to his own face. I lost my head yesterday. Hit me. Okay. As long as it makes you feel better. You can hit me or yell at me all you want. I pulled away, saying coldly, I'm here for the divorce papers. What's wrong with you, honey? Tell me, please. These past 2 days had drained all my energy. I just want to divorce you.
I'm tired.
I don't love you anymore. Dominic refused to listen, just kept shaking his head. That's impossible. Honey, what did I do wrong? You're lying. How could you not love me anymore? If you don't like her, we won't adopt her. If we can't have children, that's fine. I only need you. Dominic held me tightly, as if trying to merge me into his body. Dominic, can't you understand plain English? I have one requirement. Divorce. I said each word deliberately. Do you want me to spell out all the dirty things you've done? Honey, what did I do wrong? Tell me, and I'll change. Dominic appeared calm on the surface, but I caught the flash of panic on his face. Chloe interrupted him. Dominic, just let her go. This ungrateful woman doesn't remember any of the good things you've done. Her conscience has been eaten by dogs. With so many women out there, you must have been blind to pick her. Dominic slapped her. Chloe covered her face in disbelief, apologized to Miranda. Chloe stubbornly turned her head away, tears welling in her eyes. If you won't sign, then I'll see you in court. With that parting shot, I walked out of the office. As I rode the elevator down, many people whispered behind my back, glancing at their phones. I grabbed one of their phones. The phone showed a video. The subject was Rosie. Rosie was being interviewed by reporters, telling them how I'd rejected her because of the birthmark on her hand. She cried as she spoke, looking utterly pitiful. The orphanage director was there too, revealing my cold attitude. That day, the entire internet was attacking me. Oh my God, Rosie is so adorable. How could she say such things? Making such a small child go through this. How traumatic. She's so young, but already so mature. She finally had a chance to escape that life, only to encounter this. I really feel for her. If you didn't point out that birthmark, I wouldn't even notice it. This woman is deliberately causing trouble. Everyone was cursing me. They even exposed my identity. Every day, people threw eggs at my family's company entrance. The company stock plummeted. I was under siege from all sides. Seeing my parents come home looking worried, I wanted nothing more than to tell the public the truth. Immediately, I reassured them, "Don't worry at the press conference. I'll make them pay." On the day of the press conference, many reporters camped outside waiting for me. As soon as I appeared, cameras and microphones were shoved in my face, flash bulbs constantly going off. I ignored them and walked expressionlessly to the stage. Soon after, Dominic's family appeared too. My former in-laws looked at me with disgust, not even sparing me a glance. Behind them was Chloe, holding Rosie in her arms. Perfect. Everyone was here. As soon as I sat down, reporters swarmed forward. "Miss Caldwell, what's your take on the orphanage incident? Miss Caldwell, did you really refuse to adopt Rosie because of the birthmark on her hand?" I took the microphone and spoke slowly. I did indeed refuse to adopt Rosie because of the birthmark on her hand. The room instantly erupted. I continued, "I have two things to show everyone." The flashbulbs were blinding, a strobe light effect that turned the terrified faces of the Chase family into a series of grotesque, stop-motion snapshots. I didn't blink. I looked at the sea of reporters, then at the camera lens that was broadcasting this live to millions of people. "You asked why a birthmark matters," I said, my voice steady, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. "You called me petty. You called me cruel. You said I was rejecting an innocent orphan." I held up the first document. It was projected onto the massive screen behind me. "This," I pointed to the highlighted text, "is a paternity test conducted on a hair sample I took from Rosie 3 days ago, compared against a toothbrush I retrieved from my husband's bathroom." The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the air conditioning. "Probability of paternity, 99.99%, I read aloud. "Dominic Chase is not adopting a random orphan. He is bringing his biological daughter into my home." Gasps erupted. A wave of noise hit us physically. I saw Dominic's face drain of all color, his skin turning the shade of old ash. He tried to stand, but his legs seemed to fail him. Nancy, my mother-in-law, clutched her chest, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "But that's not all," I continued, my voice sharpening like a blade. "A father is one half of the equation. You all know Chloe Chase, the adopted sister, the poor, pity-inducing woman who knelt before me, begging me to have a heart." I slapped the second document onto the podium. "This is a maternity test. Rosie is not a random child abandoned by the world. She is the biological daughter of Chloe Chase." I looked directly at the camera, my eyes burning with cold fury. Dominic and Chloe are not just siblings by adoption. They have been lovers for years. This adoption was a scheme to force me, the barren wife, to raise the illegitimate child of my husband and his mistress, under my roof, with my money, while they laughed behind my back. The chaos that followed was biblical. Reporters surged past security lines. Questions were shouted like accusations. "Is this true, Mr. Chase? Miss Chloe, did you sleep with your brother? Mrs. Smith, did you know?" Nancy screamed, a high-pitched wail of denial, and lunged at me. "You liar! You forged these. My son would never." But the truth was written on their faces. Chloe wasn't crying anymore. The act of the fragile flower had evaporated. She stared at me with the eyes of a cornered viper, pure malice radiating from her. Dominic finally found his voice. He grabbed the microphone from the table, overturning water bottles. "Miranda,
Stop this.
we can explain. It was a mistake, one night, a drunken mistake years ago. We didn't want to hurt you." "A mistake?" I laughed, the sound echoing through the speakers. "Rosie is 4 years old. I've been married to you for 3. You were sleeping with her while we were planning our wedding. And you," I pointed at Nancy, "you berated me for not giving you a grandchild.
You cursed me. You humiliated me.
All the while, your cherished, adopted daughter had already given you one. I stepped back from the podium. I am filing for divorce on the grounds of adultery and fraud. And regarding the Chase family business, I am immediately withdrawing all capital investment from my family's equity firm. Good luck explaining this to your shareholders. I turned and walked away. Behind me, the sound of the Chase family reputation shattering was sweeter than any symphony. The days following the press conference were a blur of legal maneuvers and public vindication. The internet, which had attacked me with such vitriol only 48 hours prior, swung back with the force of a pendulum. Hashtag Boycott Chase Corp was trending worldwide. The video of Dominic kneeling, which had been painted as a romantic gesture of a desperate father, was now analyzed as the pathetic manipulation of a guilty man. I didn't go back to the house. I stayed at my parents' estate, surrounded by security and a team of sharks, my lawyers. But Dominic didn't give up. He was like a cockroach. He survived the nuclear blast and kept crawling. 3 days later, he showed up at my parents' gate. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing the same suit from the press conference, dark circles bruising his eyes. Let him in, I told the intercom. I want to hear this. I met him in the garden. I sat on a wrought iron chair, sipping tea, while he stood before me, trembling. Miranda, he rasped.
Please.
You have to stop the withdrawal of funds. The stock. It's crashed by 60%. The bank is calling in the loans. We're going to lose the house. We're going to lose everything. That is generally what happens when you commit fraud, I said calmly. I love you, he blurted out. It's not what you think. Chloe, she seduced me. She threatened me. She said she'd kill herself if I didn't sleep with her. And then when the baby came, we panicked. We sent Rosie to the orphanage to hide her, but we couldn't leave her there. I just wanted to do the right thing. The right thing. I set my teacup down. The right thing was to trick your wife into raising your incestuous love child? You made me feel broken, Dominic. For 3 years, I cried myself to sleep because I thought I couldn't give you a family.
And you watched me cry.
You and Chloe, you probably laughed about it in bed.
No.
He fell to his knees again, his favorite move. It wasn't like that. I was protecting you. I knew if you found out, you'd leave. I couldn't bear to lose you. You didn't want to lose my money, I corrected. And speaking of medical issues, I visited a new doctor yesterday. A specialist my father flew in. Dominic froze. It turns out, there's nothing wrong with me, I said softly. My reproductive system is perfectly healthy. But my blood work showed high levels of a certain synthetic hormone, a contraceptive, one that has been dissolved in my coffee every morning for 3 years. Dominic's jaw dropped. The last shred of his defense disintegrated. You drugged me, I said, my voice barely a whisper, though the rage inside me was an inferno. You didn't just cheat. You violated my body. You chemically sterilized me so that I would have no choice but to accept adoption when you eventually proposed it. You calculated every single step. Miranda, Get out, I said. Honey, please, get out. I screamed, throwing the teacup at his feet. It shattered, shards flying against his expensive trousers. If you are not off this property in 2 minutes, I will have the guards break every bone in your legs. And this time, I'll make sure the cameras are rolling. He scrambled backward, terror in his eyes, and ran. The divorce was not a battle. It was a slaughter. With the evidence of the poisoning, which I had saved from the dregs of the coffee canister in our kitchen before I left, Dominic wasn't just facing civil court. He was facing criminal charges. To save himself from prison, he turned on everyone. In court, he testified that the poisoning was Nancy's idea. He claimed his mother was obsessed with keeping the pure bloodline of the Chase family and didn't want an outsider's blood mixing with theirs, but she wanted Miranda's money. Nancy, in turn, suffered a massive stroke in the courtroom when she heard her son throw her to the wolves. She survived, but she was left partially paralyzed, unable to speak, trapped in a body that could only watch as her empire of lies crumbled. And Chloe didn't have the luxury of lawyers. Without the Chase family fortune, which I had effectively frozen and then liquidated through lawsuits, she was destitute. I saw her one last time, a month after the divorce was finalized. I was leaving a high-end boutique downtown. Chloe was waiting by my car. She looked haggard. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by a cheap, ill-fitting tracksuit. Rosie was nowhere to be seen. You happy? She spat, cigarette smoke curling from her lips. You took everything. I took back what was mine, I replied, checking my nails. Where's your daughter, Chloe? The one you loved so much you destroyed a marriage for her. Chloe flinched. She's in foster care. I can't afford to feed her. Dominic is in jail awaiting trial. Bob had a heart attack. It's all gone. You have hands, I said coldly. You can work. You can scrub floors. That's what honest people do. I hate you, she hissed. You think you've won? You're going to die alone. At least Dominic loved me. He never loved you. I laughed. It was a genuine, light-hearted laugh. Chloe, look at you. You're standing in the rain, begging for my attention. Dominic sold you out the moment the handcuffs came out. He tried to pin the poisoning on you, too. Did you know that? He told the police you bought the drugs. Chloe's face went slack. He didn't. Check the court transcripts, I said, opening my car door. He never loved anyone but himself. You were just the convenient idiot who gave him an ego boost. And now, you're just the accessory to his crimes. I got in the car and drove away, leaving her standing in the exhaust fumes. 6 months later, the scandal had faded from the headlines, replaced by new gossip, but in the business world, the name Chase was mud. The company had been bought out for pennies on the dollar by a competitor, a takeover I had orchestrated from the shadows. I was sitting in my new office. I had taken over my father's company, proving to the board that I wasn't just a socialite, but a wartime general when it came to business. My assistant buzzed me. Ms. Caldwell, there's a visitor. He says he knows you. Mr. Bob Chase. I paused. Send him in. Bob Chase, my former father-in-law, wheeled himself in. He looked 20 years older. The stroke and the stress had ravaged him. Miranda, he said, his voice weak.
Bob.
I didn't offer him a seat. I came to ask for mercy, he said, tears welling in his eyes. Nancy is in a state care facility. It's awful. The smell. The neglect. We can't afford a private nurse. Dominic is looking at 10 years. We have nothing. And we were family once, he pleaded. I never knew about the poisoning.
I swear.
I just wanted peace. Please, Miranda. Just a small loan. Enough to get Nancy into a better home. I looked at this pathetic man. The man who had stood by while his wife called me an ungrateful wretch. The man who had threatened me that I wouldn't get a penny if I divorced his son. Do you remember the day I left? I asked. You told me if I walked out that door I should never come back. You said I was useless because I couldn't breed.
I was angry, he sobbed.
I didn't mean it.
I did, I said.
I opened my drawer and pulled out a single coin. A quarter. I walked around the desk and placed it in his trembling hand. You said I wouldn't get a penny. So, I'm giving you 25. Call someone who cares, Bob. Because I don't. I pressed the intercom. Security. Escort Mr. Chase out. And ensure he is banned from the building. As they wheeled him out, weeping, I felt no guilt. Only a profound sense of closure. A year passed. I was at a charity gala, wearing a dress that cost more than the Chase family's remaining assets. I was laughing with a group of investors when I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Julian, the lawyer who had handled my divorce. He was handsome, sharp, and had stood by me when the world was throwing eggs at my door. You look dangerous tonight, Miranda, he smiled. I feel dangerous, I replied, clinking my glass against his. I have some news, he said, his tone turning serious but satisfied. The trial concluded this afternoon. And Dominic got 12 years. Fraud, assault, and administering harmful substances. The judge made an example of him. I took a sip of champagne. And Chloe? Probation. But she's unhired. Her face is too known. Last I heard, she moved 2 states over, working as a waitress in a roadside diner. Rosie was adopted by a nice family in Oregon. A closed adoption. She'll never know them. It was the best outcome for the child. Rosie was innocent in this. She deserved a chance to be someone other than a pawn in a twisted game of incest and greed. It's over, Julian said softly. Really over. I looked out the window at the city lights. I thought about the woman I used to be, meek, desperate to please, apologizing for a defect I didn't even have. That woman was dead. She died the moment she saw a pea-sized birthmark on a little girl's hand. No, Julian. I turned to him, taking his hand. It's not over. It's just starting. The music swelled, and we walked onto the dance floor. I was 30 years old, I was free, I was powerful, and for the first time in my life, I was wide awake. The Chase family was a footnote in my history, a scar that had healed over, leaving stronger skin behind. As we danced, I smiled for the cameras. Let them look. Let them see. Miranda Caldwell wasn't a victim. She was the queen who had burned the castle down to kill the rats and built a palace from the ashes.